Coming in off a 3-3 Monday, guys. Got a nice little baseball card coming up today. Good amount of dog spots as always. Going to run through the cards, some divisional matchups. And then NBA Finals Game 3 will be tomorrow night. We'll touch more on that tomorrow, so make sure you guys are tuning back in. Wednesdays, a lot of day games. Those usually come out a bit earlier. But John, 3-3 day split on there. Some favorites, bigger favorites than we usually lay on Monday.
Get the pen and paper out, boys. It's time to go to school. I don't often bet favorites, and you very rarely see me bet favorites at minus 150 or 160. The Marlins yesterday, I wrote my preview. I laid that game because I made that game 190. So if I see a disparity like that, I could take the favorite. So me and Ben were just discussing today. You get a rematch, not a rematch. KC obviously playing the Marlins again today. Pitching matchup today is Greinke at Luzardo. Greinke's actually pitched pretty well his last few starts. Doesn't go deep into the game, but it gives you 5 solid innings. Even a decent start his last road game. As we're talking, this line is actually moving right now, just going to 160s. It opened 151. Again, I made the Marlins higher again. Just didn't pull the trigger on them, as I'll tell you today. So this is the deal. Yesterday, you had Garrett pitching for the Marlins, who had in his prior 4 starts been excellent. I believe it was a 1.66 ERA with a 0.83 WHIP against KC, who was going to go with a bullpen game. So for me, that was a bigger advantage, even though Luzardo may be a little bit better pitcher than Garrett. Greinke obviously is better than the KC bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought there was more of an edge there yesterday. So basically for the number, today is now starting to go higher. Just didn't make sense. That's what made me make Miami a 190 favorite in that situation and make 155 a bet. Another dog, again, very rare to have 2 dogs, but we had Perez and the Rangers at minus 130. That game ticked up to about 140 at game time. But again, don't look at the names. Don't look at the Cardinals. Don't look at Wainwright. Wainwright's 41 now. He isn't what he was. I'm 60. I ain't what I used to be. Go see what they're going to do with this rotator cuff tomorrow. But get back to baseball. Cardinals, ice cold. Went into that game absolutely ice cold. But Wainwright, who had given up 4 runs or more in each game, except his last game, 3 runs. But that was to the Royals, a team that I think is the second worst team. Not that I think. They are the second worst team in baseball. Against Perez, who hadn't been pitching great, but was pitching great at home. And Texas, the number 1 offense in Major League Baseball. Score the most runs, lead the league in hitting at 278. They're red hot coming off that series at Seattle. That was another game. I made 160, and that's why I can lay 130. So again, value, it's mainly in the dogs. Sometimes you'll see it in the favorites. I saw it in those 2 favorites yesterday. Similar today, still make Miami a little higher, not as much of a gap as yesterday. And you can see that well, you can't see it, but I can see it. The line is actually moving right now. Opened up minus 151. You're looking at minus 160 at Sports 411 right now. 158 at Circa, and even 162 at Bet Online. We'll talk more about the specific games, but again, it's just value, guys. And we're gonna bet with value each day. We may see it in a favorite occasionally. Most of the time, it's gonna be a dog's end of the year. That's where we're gonna make the money. Weigh in on that, Ben, and then we'll take that one NBA game. We'll just touch on it real quick.
Yeah, like you said, as far as the value, that's what it's all about. And that goes in all aspects of betting any sport. If it's spreads, totals, whatever, you just want your price to see and the probability of where that line should be a little bit of a gap there and have an edge. So I agree with you there on the favorites. Yesterday was the right call. We'll see if there's any more spots there. And the NBA game, John, game 3 coming up tomorrow, line ticking down a bit.
It's kind of gone back and forth. So that game's been all over from 2.5. Touched 3 real quick, came back down to 2.5, down to 2. So now it's actually 2 or 2.5, depending on your book. I'm looking at the screen right now. Bet Online's got it at 2. Circa 2.5. Sports 411 is 2.5 but you got to lay extra juice to get the Heat at +2.5. And DraftKings 2.5. Westgate, William Hill, all 2.5. We'll tell you now, we took the 2.5 yesterday. Once we saw it go off the 3, and then some of the 2.5 started to disappear, we jumped in and took the 2.5. I said it yesterday. I said it right after Nuggets let Game 2 slip away. Yeah. It's a problem. I had Nuggets penciled in for those two at home. They had dominated the Heat. They'd won 10 of the last 11 meetings. They hadn't lost to the Heat in Denver since 2016. The only time the Heat won a game was in the bubble. Denver was the best home team, including playoffs for the year. Everything lined up for Denver. They let one slip away. The pressure's on the Nuggets. They're the better team. Miami's the 8th seed. The Nuggets do not want to be the first team to go down to an 8th seed, but this is now a possibility. We've talked about it. Nuggets, great at home. Not so much on the road. They'll have a problem. 4 games, the last 4 games, last 2 games of the Celtics series, first 2 games of the Denver series, Jimmy Butler has been a good player. Not playoff Jimmy. Jimmy Butler shooting just 36.6 from the field in those 4 games. First 2 games at Denver averaged just 17 points per game. We get a game out of Jimmy. Nuggets are in trouble on their home court. I think the value is plus the points. We got Heat +2.5.
Yeah, Miami in all 3 prior series with Boston, the Knicks, and the Bucks, they came home and won that first Game 3 on their home floor in all 3 of those series. They've been taking care of business there. I forget which analyst said it, one of the ESPN guys just mentioning how the Heat don't play on paper. You know, the Nuggets on paper above and beyond the better team, but the Heat and Jimmy Butler just don't play on paper, so it's hard to gauge that. Denver, obviously the big favorite coming into this series. Obviously, we expected them to take care of business on their home floor. They didn't. Coming into this Game 3, I lean to the Nuggets, but with that in mind, they don't play on paper, and this Miami team keeps playing above what their expectations are. So this is the spot in the series. You could argue either way, just being a split series going back for that Game 3 in Miami. Obviously, if you're the Heat, you want to keep home court advantage. I just have a hard time seeing that 50% from 3. So it's not necessarily I don't see the Heat winning. It's how are they going to do it? Because last time it was a 3-point shooting, it was random role players stepping up. Which role players are going to be the ones to step up? And that's the weird thing about them not playing on paper. It's who's going to be that one. And like you said, if playoff Jimmy shows up, playoff Jimmy, and forget about the rest of it. I mean, they're going to take care of business anyway. So you have that factor going for you. It's the Miami, or it's for me, Denver or nobody, but that's a tough Game 3 going back there. Trends favor Miami a little bit.
We'll see how that one turns out. That doesn't go till Wednesday. Let's get started on this full baseball card, Ben.
Yeah, real full baseball card. We have this first game. A couple of teams we've been backing a lot this year. D-backs at Washington. Gross pitching matchup. Yeah, this D-backs team coming off losing that last 2 games to Atlanta. Prior to that, they won 6 straight. And you have Washington. They've been struggling now. They've dropped 5 of 7. They are hitting .292 versus lefties. They're still top 5 in batting average on the season. Henry versus Irvin. Irvin's just been brutal last 4 starts, 18 runs and 16 in a third. Really can't back that. Henry coming off 7 shutout innings versus Colorado. Faced the Nats with a quality start earlier this year. Give him the pitching edge. This is a series would be interested in Washington at one point, but D-backs coming off a pair of losses against Atlanta. A nice little get-right spot then would be Arizona or no one for me earlier in this game.
Yeah, the Sharps are all over the home dog here, as they usually are, and that's why we're usually on them. I just can't pull the trigger. And then for the Nationals, in this one, Irvin's been brutal. Solid start by Henry his last time out. Granted, it's Rockies on the road. They don't hit on the road. But, yeah, not looking to buck Arizona right now. Couple of tough losses. They leave home a tough loss to Atlanta in that last game of their homestand. But just the way Irvin's been pitching, 18 runs in his last 16 and a third, want no part of them as a home dog. So we're passing on this game, but the Sharps they've bet this one actually a little lower than I think it should be. Not interested in the Nats.
Then we have Dodgers at Cincinnati. Dodgers own this matchup. They've now won the last 9 meetings. 26-11 was the combined score in Cincy last year. They definitely get the pitching edge as well. It's Gonsolin versus Weaver. Gonsolin last 4 starts, 4 runs in 21 2/3. Weaver's been solid, though. 3 runs in 12 innings, 11 Ks, 1 walk, been a bit better. You have this Reds team. They get the win yesterday against the Brewers 2-0 to prevent the sweep. You have the Dodgers coming off an off day after losing to the Yankees Sunday. They just went 3-3 in that homestand. Tough to go against that trend. Reds or Dodgers not going to get too many easy games here, and this is one of those series they tend to try to take care of business in. 9 straight, don't want to bucket, especially with the massive pitching edge, but that's a big number to lay on the road.
Big number, and it was bigger earlier. Shops are on this home dog also. Guys, again, what we do, we're not writing the rules here. These are the patterns that we follow. The overnight on this game could have took 175 with the Reds. This game now is down to anywhere from 160 to 155. So the sharps all over the short. Me didn't want to pull the trigger on this one either. As Ben said, Dodgers absolutely owned the series, buried them in Cincinnati last year. Dodgers coming off that loss Sunday night. They had a day to suck on that one. Now come to Cincy in a get-right spot with their ace. I got to call him the ace now, Gonsolin. I mean, Kershaw's been the ace for so long, but Gonsolin right now, pitching monstrous, 1.77 ERA, just 4 runs in his last 21 2/3 innings. Weaver, a couple of better starts. They got their win last night. They were a little bit been shorthanded. We talked about TJ Friedl on the injured list. Fraley was out last night, and Senzel, another 2 of their better bats, also out of the lineup last night. Part of the reason we bet against Abbott, the kid. Brewers just can't hit lefties. But getting back to the Reds, not really scoring, just put 2 on the board last night. Dodgers should come in looking for this one. Again, first 2 games, sharps are on the both home dogs. I didn't see it. We don't just bet dogs. We don't just bet home dogs. We bet dogs when there's an edge. I don't see the edge in those 2 today.
We have a fun divisional matchup. Mets at Atlanta, Carrasco versus Elder. Carrasco been a lot better. They've won his 3 starts since returning. Last 2, both quality starts. Elder, he's coming off 3 straight quality starts. He had a 1.72 May ERA. He's been lights out. This Mets team, I mean, just the offense, brutal right now. They get swept by Toronto. After taking care of business against Philly, they get swept by Toronto, hitting just 177 this week, 5-12 the last 17 road games. And then you have this Braves team who comes in. They've won 3 of their last 4. They've won 6 of the last 7 meetings in Atlanta. They won 2 or 3 at New York this year. Be a slight lean to the Mets. I like the way Carrasco's been going the last couple of starts. Elder didn't have the best start against the Mets last year. It's starting to get a little bit to a big number there in a divisional matchup. Braves had their number so far this season. They had them last year in the back end at Atlanta. And Mets not hitting. So if Mets had a little bit more going for them offensively, I'd be interested in this game at this price. But tough to back that offense hitting 177.
Exactly what Ben said. Look, I like the way Carrasco's turned it around the last couple of outings. You look at the number and you don't say, oh, Mets Braves, let's take this price. But not hitting. 177 this week and just 5-12 their last 17 on the road. You can't back the Mets here. Elders pitch great baseball. The price is right to me. I just don't see an edge. And getting back to the first 2 games again, guys, where I didn't see an edge for the 2 home dogs, not advocating for the favorites, just didn't see enough of an edge to bet the 2 home dogs. Similar in this game. Would like to bet Carrasco at a nice size number. Mets need a W. Just with the way they're hitting right now, the way they're playing on the road, just not enough of an edge to pull the trigger.
We have Giants going to Coors Field. They've dominated this matchup. They've won 21 of the last 26 meetings, 7 of 10 at Colorado last season. They're coming off a loss to the Baltimore on Sunday, 8-3 loss there. They've now dropped 4-5, scoring 2.8 runs per game. They went from red hot to ice cold. And this Colorado team, they're coming off winning 2 of 3 against Kansas City. They dropped the last one. They're 12-5 their last 17 home games. Bullpen game for San Francisco. Brebbia is the opener, and then Lamet, who's going to be going for Colorado. He was out of the bullpen earlier this year, went sent down to AAA with the back issues, comes back up as a starter, got tagged 5 runs in 3 innings at Arizona. So not a good first go around for him after the relief outings earlier this year. This is Tough to back San Francisco on a bullpen game on the road at Coors, but the trends kind of favor them a little bit. Don't know if I want any part of Lamet in this matchup, especially with the history there. Will be a lean a little bit to the over. Could see this one getting ugly just based off the pitching matchup alone, but neither offense been lining it up lately.
Yep, exactly. Although the Rockies do hit 285 at Coors, just as everybody else hits better at Coors. This is a big number for San Fran to be on the road in a bullpen game. Probably Minea or Brock will follow Brebbia, but don't want no part of Lamet and bucking that trend. Can't do it. For me, it's Rockies or nobody, but in this case, it'll be nobody again. So, again, few home dogs. I can understand why they're betting it, just not enough for me to pull the trigger on those games.
And we have Twins going on to Tampa Bay. Twins coming off a 4-game split with Cleveland, and this Rays team, they got to win. The Twins.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
Twins coming off the 4-game split with Cleveland. Rays, they're coming off the series at Boston yesterday. They won 3 of 4 there. This is Tampa Bay. The bats have cooled off a little bit. Even at Boston, thought their offense would do a bit more, scoring 4.6 runs per game in those 3 wins. Varland versus Eflin, pretty solid pitching matchup. Varland, 4 of his last 5 starts, been quality starts, coming off 7 shutout innings versus Houston. And then Eflin been very solid, 3 straight quality starts, lights out at home, 6-0, 2.19, 34 Ks, 3 walks. I'll give Eflin just a slight pitching edge there with those home numbers, but Varland hasn't been anything to gawk at. Tampa Bay, we all know what they've been doing at home this season, 26-6. Tough to go against it. Big number here, playing just over 500 ball last couple of weeks, and coming off a couple division opponents will be a slight lean here to the Twins with what Varland's been giving them. Another team, though, offense not giving you anything.
So, Tampa Bay 14-12 their last 26 games, but still 19-3 at home in those last 22. Red hot at home. Where they've been doing their losing is on the road. Look, this is one of the games we lost yesterday. We bet against McClanahan, one of the top pitchers in Major League Baseball. We just felt there was value there. Noah Arena. We took 144 on that game. That game closed. You could take the top number was 128. Again, value is there. Right side, wrong result. We weren't the only sharp guys on the game. The sharp side was the Red Sox. I've seen a lot of guys out there beating it just that they had Tampa Bay minus 150. Well, you're a sucker if you laid 150. You could have laid a lot less on the game. Getting back to this game, Tampa Bay still red hot. Twins don't play well on the road. Twins play good at home, solid home team. Just do not get the job done on the road. Still got injury question marks there. Buxton and Korea, they missed the last couple of games. They're still questionable. Rays, they come back home after that road trip. I'm not saying bet the Rays, just to see if the number is right. No edge for the Twins right now. They lost their last couple of games. They're having problems with the bat, and a couple of their bats are out.
Then White Sox at Yankees. White Sox coming off a pair of exciting wins. First one, walk-off wild pitch. Second one on Sunday, walk-off grand slam for Berger. They've now won 4 of 5, scoring 4.6. Yankees team comes in after winning 2 of 3 at L.A., and they're 6-2 their last day. They got the bats going in the front end of that trip. The back end, it was more so the pitching. Giolito versus Schmidt. Giolito last 2 starts, 7 runs across 8 2/3, 9 Ks, 9 walks. And then you have Schmidt, who's actually been pretty solid, 3 runs in 15 2/3, his last 3 times out. The White Sox did win 2 of 3 at New York last year. Aaron Judge is questionable. That's a big questionable there. I have to see what's going on with him. To be a lean of the White Sox. They got a couple of – we keep talking about this White Sox team turning it around. I mean, if you get 2 wins like that, walk-off wild pitch and walk-off grand slam, it's one of those things can stir up that good clubhouse energy. We'll see if that carries over into the series now to New York. Yankees, yes, they have the off day, but still long West Coast trip. Then they come cross-country, and your best player might be out of the lineup. Be a slight lean here to the White Sox. Not loving what we're seeing from Giolito lately.
I'm not. And this wouldn't even be consideration. Actually, Giolito was pitching good. Last couple of starts, no good. Schmidt, not so good. The last few starts, much better. So the pitchers going in different directions. Strictly made this bet this morning on Judge being out. I took 145. And as I told, which is going to be too late for you guys by the time you see this game is already down to the best number you could take, right now would be plus 130. But at plus 145, I told my guys, if Judge is in the lineup, we're going to get off the game. Get off. What that means is we're going to bet the other side. So if we bet, which we bet 2 units today, let's call it each unit representing $100, just to make it simple. You put up $200 at plus 145 to win 290. You're going to bet to win 200. So if the line goes back up by that time, if it's 160, you're laying 320 to win the 200. Yankees win, you break even. If the dog wins, the White Sox, you'll lose the juice, that $30. So it's $15. That's if it's at 160 by then. It all depends how quick. But again, just pointing out the point, this, I'm making only this bet for Judge if he's not in the lineup. Judge just does it so many ways. Talk about it all the time with the bat, with the glove. Only want the White Sox going if he's out of the lineup. Again, at this point, we're looking at 11:41. My anticipation is he's out. We started to see that line drop. If I would have waited, that wouldn't have been a bet. If we would have took it now, knowing he's out at plus 130, I would have taken it. Plus 145 if Judge is out. That's the value. If not, we'll give up the bet. That's how that one goes, Ben.
Then it's Astros at Toronto. Talked about it yesterday with how bad Manoah's been, John, and it didn't get out of the first inning. So Astros coming off the big 11-4 win at Toronto. Brown versus Gausman today. Gausman, he's been solid, 6.2 shutout innings his last time out, 1.36 with 4 or 5 quality starts his last 5, and very good. Brown, he was pretty solid to start the year, had some rough goings, and then kind of found himself with 2 quality starts against Oakland. And then the Twins put up 5 on him in 4 2/3. So he's been a little bit hit or miss. We'll see what he does against this Toronto lineup. Blue Jays 3-8 their last 11 home games, not getting it done. Meanwhile, Astros 9-3 their last 12 on the road. Granted, Toronto was playing well coming into this series. A lot of that, though, was on the road. This is a cheap price for Gausman, but I just don't know if I can lay any juice with this Toronto team right now, especially against Houston. Houston's lineup getting going. Will be a slightest of leans here to Blue Jays just with the pitching advantage there to Gausman. But Houston put up 8 runs on him earlier this year. So how much of a pitching advantage really is there? So we'll see if Houston has his number, if that was just one bad start earlier this season.
Yeah. Brown got lit up his last time out. Before that, again, back-to-back good starts, but against Oakland A's. Oakland is horrible. I mean, they're just not even a major league team. We're going to talk about why I made that line over 300 today. Next, but I lost my train of thought there for a second. So you've got a Houston team that knocks. We talked about it yesterday. We said Manoah's on auto fade. I'm thinking this could be the last time we see him for a while. You need to send this kid out. He's got to at least skip a turn in a rotation. He's a mess. They got 1 out last night. So when you one team blows out another, always look for that team to respond. Look for Toronto to respond after getting blown out at their home park. But as Ben said, not been playing great baseball at home. Altuve comes back. Got to give Gausman the pitching edge. Yes, he did get rocked by the Astros early in the year, but just Gausman stats, guys. This let me pull this up. Gausman now 2-0, 1.36 ERA with 4 of his last 5 starts being quality starts. 42 Ks in his last 33 innings, just 11 walks. At home, 1.72 ERA. So, yeah, the leanest to Gausman, the leanest to Toronto because of the beatdown that they took. Just the Astros playing good ball. Also, they should get Altuve back. He's missed the last couple of games. Just another game. The line's right there. I'm not interested in that one.
Yeah, with Manoah leaving early yesterday, Toronto used 6 bullpen arms, so they're going to need some big innings out of Gausman today. We'll see if he delivers. Then it's Boston at Cleveland. Paxton versus Bieber. Paxton, he had the first couple starts good, then he gets roughed up, gives up 5 runs in 3 innings at LA, and then comes back allowing 1 run ball in 5 innings, 8 Ks, 1 walk against Cincy. So a little bit of up and down coming off a good start. Bieber, he was cracked at Baltimore, 7 runs, 8 hits in 4 innings. Prior to that, though, had a pair of quality starts. He had a quality start for his Boston earlier this season. this number keeps coming down on Cleveland. Got to be Cleveland or nobody for me. I mean, Bieber's been solid. They're not hitting. They haven't been hitting all season long. They had that one little stretch last week where they put together a few games, putting up runs, and it looks like they tapped out in the month. So it's still just a pitching advantage there for Bieber, better than he was against Baltimore. And Boston, they're not lighting it up offensively right now either. This could be an under game. I mean, it's kind of iffy on what you're going to get out of Paxton there, but they're coming off that series with some struggles. Didn't score much against Tampa Bay. Would be a lean here to the Guardians at home. I mean, this price getting pretty low there for the ace on the mound.
Yeah, Red Sox had a play yesterday. Again, Justin Turner accounts for their only run, a home run. Red Sox hit 228 away from Fenway. So on the road, just not getting the job done. Cleveland just doesn't score. 29th in scoring, 3.59 runs per game. And even worse, at home, just 2.78 runs per game. This is a tough one, but as Ben said, this game opened Bieber minus 125 on the overnight. We have now flipped the favorite 05 or 08 on the Red Sox. Just don't see that. We'll let this number continue to go. It would have to be the home team or nobody for me. Yes, we know Cleveland doesn't hit. The way this number's reacting, we've got to make sure you got everybody in the lineup. So, yeah, Cleveland or no one. We'll see what the line goes, and we'll catch the lineups later.
Then it's KC at Miami. Miami, one of the winners yesterday. Soler did not play. He's questionable. Kansas City now lost 4 of 5, scoring 3 runs per game. They're just 9-19 on the road. It's Greinke versus Luzardo. Greinke, he's been decent. I mean, 5 runs in 20 and 2/3. He's been a solid pitcher, just not going deep like you mentioned earlier, just about 5 innings every time out. He has had road struggles earlier this season and road struggles all of last year, but last couple of road starts been decent. And then Luzardo, he's had some struggles. Last 3 starts, 12 runs, 3 homers, and 15 1/3. Did have a quality start in the middle of 2 starts getting roughed up. He's had some good home numbers, 3.35 and 7 starts. Miami, red hot right now, 9-2 their last 11. You see the Phillies struggling, the Mets struggling, the Braves having a little bit of struggles, and this Miami team just keeping themselves in the hunt and division. I didn't really have them having a chance in. So Miami took care of business against Oakland, taking care of business so far in this series against Kansas City. Got the ace on the mound because I'm going to call Luzardo the ace with Alcantara having his issues. Luzardo hasn't looked great. Perfect bounce back spot against this Kansas City offense for Luzardo to kind of find himself. Miami or no one.
Yeah. Miami's they're taking care of business against 2 of the worst teams in the 2 worst teams in baseball, Oakland and KC, and they're getting them at home. Perfect setup for Miami to go on this little hot streak right now. Also batting 292 this week. The question is, do they get Soler back? He missed yesterday. Leads the team with 17 homers, 36 RBIs. Again, it's Miami and nobody. We made this number 170, and we gave the example why I made the bet yesterday, because I thought the pitching edge yesterday, even though Luzardo's a better pitcher than Garrett had more of an edge over the KC bullpen than Luzardo has over Greinke. Again, it would be Miami or nobody for me, but now this line's gone up, as I told you guys earlier. This line started at 151. We're looking at 160-ish right now. Call it the consensus on Miami. Miami, nobody. I made it 170, so you can see where the number's going. But, yeah, I'm not laying this price. Yesterday there was more room for me in what I thought was more advantageous pitching matchup.
You think Array is going to have a chance at 400 this year? Still in June, hitting 399.
He's just too far away. Let's see when he gets closer. I don't think he's a 400 hitter. He does sit a lot against left-hand pitchers. We'll see, but no, I don't. I'll go on a limb and say he don't hit 350.
350. That's a big drop off. All right, we'll see.
We're in June. If we're in August,
yeah.
He's got to go through. I used to have a batting cage way back in my days, and I had a guy named Kevin Baez. He used to play for the Mets. He was like one of those guys. He spent some time. They need another shortstop. They'd call him up, middle infielder. He'd go back down to the minors. But did spend some time up there with me. So he did some training out of my place. So talking with him, You get to get the feel of what these guys go through. We call it the dog days of summer. And when in the beginning of the year, where they'll be swinging a heavier bat, as they wear down day in, day out, playing out there in that hot weather every day, they start to take the weight bat on their size going down. So it just, guys wear down. It's always like you'll see catchers in the beginning of the year start hitting better. And as they go through the season with the nicks and the bumps and taking one off the hand, then the catcher's not going to get many infield hits. They're not going to leg many out. These are things that'll take their batting averages back down. So that's what happens as the course of the year goes on. Just a long season. So yeah, I'll go on record right now. I say he don't hit 350.
Yeah, we'll see what I will say. If he's anywhere near 400 in a couple of months, that's a nice little clubhouse boost that time of year as well. Dog days, so just a little extra something going for your team.
It's great that he's got it right now. You know, there was some question about that trade for Lopez. Lopez got off to a couple of great starts. Not so much lately after they signed him for $72 million. And Arias hanging around that 400 number. But that's a Ted Williams. George Brett, Ty Cobb number. That's not a Luis Arias number. I just don't feel. But good luck to him.
And then we have Tigers at Philly. Tigers using Alexander out of the pen. He's going to be an opener. He did make 17 starts last year, so we'll see if they let him go with any depth in his bullpen game. If he looks good early, we'll see what the instance with that is. And then it's Walker for Philly. He gave up 3 runs in 4 innings and lost versus the Mets. He did a quality start versus the Braves before that. He's been very hit or miss, a lot more miss, been a bit better at home. Big number for Walker. Don't make it this high. Philly has gotten hot, though. They've now won 3 straight, scoring 7.6 runs per game, much like Miami, taking care of business against KC and Oakland. Detroit is just a slight tier above those 2 teams, so Philly's got to do their own business. We'll see if they take care of Detroit in a bullpen game. Would be a little slightest of lean to the Tigers, and it's just a big price for Walker. But spot's too good for Philly. Not looking to jump in front of that. 1-3 straight. See if they make it 4.
This is the hottest side of the day, guys, and the hottest side is the Tigers. The overnight was you could have taken plus 188. This game right now is down to around, let's call the average 159. Another game, yeah. You go just strictly by the numbers, and I got to be on the Tigers, but there's just no way they would get me this game in a bullpen game. Look, Walker does not belong to be a 200 favorite over anybody. But Tigers in a bullpen game, another loss last night. Their last 2 games at Detroit got beaten walk-offs. Tigers right now averaging 1.5 runs per game. They're batting $180 this week, 28 scoring, 28 hitting. They just can't get it done. Riley Green, we talked about, their best player on the IL. Just don't want no part of this team right now. They're horrible on the road. Yeah, their spots when they're at home as a nice dog. This is not one of the spots. But all the shops, all over Tigers in this one.
It's Oakland at Pittsburgh. Pirates, they rallied back yesterday. They're down 3-0, come back, win 5-4. This Pirates team now red hot. They've won 6 straight. Oakland's last 5 straight. Pitching advantage, definitely Keller. Last 2 starts been a little shaky there. He's given up 10 runs in 12 innings. Prior to that, though, 8 of his 9 starts were quality starts. So definitely a lot better than what he has been lately. Been excellent at home. 3-0, 2.18 in 5 starts. Pitching edge goes to him. Caprillion just been brutal. Last 2, 8 runs in 9 2/3. We all know the story about Oakland, Pittsburgh. I mean, is there a streakier team in the league this year than Pittsburgh? Start off red hot, go on the coldest of cold spells, and now coming back 6 straight, going for 7 against the worst team in baseball. I'm not looking to go against the Pirates ace in a must-win situation. They got to take care of business in this game.
Very, very rare that you see the favorites bury a favorite. The shops bury a favorite. That's what they did here today. This overnight was 220. This line is 270 at Sports 411, 265 at Circa, and is worth it. I told Ben this morning. I almost sent this one out. I missed the 220 last night. And I'm going to give you guys a quick, if you're how to beat the bookie member, guys, switch over to your to the ratings page, baseball ratings page. Going to do this one real quick. And this is how the numbers are made. So if you go into the baseball ratings, you'll see I've got a home and away rating for each team. Now, what that represents in each box is if they were to play 162 games, how many games I would expect them to win. So if the Pirates were to play 162 at home against an average pitcher and an average team, I would expect them to win 88 of those games. A's, if they pitched their average pitcher playing against an average team, I expect them to win only 34 games out of 162 on the road. Now, here's how I make my number. You got your base number here by taking Caprillion. He's a little less than their average pitcher. So I'm going to take that 34 wins down to 30. Okay. Keller, the best pitcher on the Pirates. I'm going to take that 88 wins up to 95. That's what I expect them to win. So if I expect Pirates to win 95 and I expect A's to only win 30, my number is 316. That's how I make my numbers, and that's why you could see betting some of the favorites. It's not just betting dogs. Where did this game go? Open 220, and it's sitting at 260, 270 right now. This is the key with the numbers, guys. So if you had to beat the bookie member, use those numbers. In basketball, you take those numbers. That's the best base number you're going to get. One of the guys said it on the Instagram yesterday. So in the NBA game, I've got Denver rated just 38.6 on the road, and Heat, Miami 39.8 at home. That's a 1.2 advantage for Miami, no matter how you cut it. And I think they've got a little bit of the momentum. That's why I'm betting that side. Okay, we don't throw darts. You tell us all the time. Don't pick fucking teams out of a hat. We do by ratings. We do by research, stats, trends. Then we come up with a game. If I give you a 300 game, you know the fucking shop are on the Pirates. Very rare you'll see them, but they buried the Pirates in this one.
Yeah, that's a big number there. I think last year the biggest favorite we laid was 180 on the season. So I don't think we quite touched 200. Haven't touched 200 yet this year. We'll see if we get up there. Next game.
Look at the A's. Sorry to interrupt you, Ben. When you look at the A's, I mean, they're basically winning one of every 5 games. So it tells you what you could lay. They're playing 200 ball, actually under 200 ball for the year. So there's not many spots that you can lay I wouldn't lay 300. But in this spot, 220, I would have laid 220. That number is gone now. It's up to 260. By the time you guys are seeing this, I don't know what the hell it's going to be at. But just no value in the A's whatsoever. Ben has stopped leaning towards the A's.
I leaned a little bit yesterday, but didn't pull the trigger.
And Ben had the right spot yesterday. That was about the only spot. Sears is basically their ace. So if we go back to it, their expectation would be more to win like 40 games, and that cuts that down. Who Pittsburgh had on the mound, so you're not looking at quite that number. But in today's game, this is their ace. Yeah, Keller's had a couple of rough starts, but was pitching great baseball prior to that. Pitt red hot. A's last in hitting, last in runs scored, 2-16 their last 8. There's just no reason to bet them and no reason not to bet against them at the right number.
So the next game, John, we have Orioles at Milwaukee. This Baltimore team comes in. They won 2 of 3 at San Francisco. They're major league best, tied with Atlanta, 20-10 on the road. Brewers, they lose at Cincy yesterday. Prior to that, won the 3 prior games in the series. They are just hitting 195 this week. Gibson versus Peralta. Gibson, 2 of his last 3 starts are quality starts, 4 runs in 19 2/3, been very solid. And then Peralta, I mean, talk about hit or miss. Quality starter, giving up 7 runs. That's kind of what you're getting out of him the last couple outings. 7.32 ERA in his last 4 starts. Has been a bit better at home, 4-2, 3.38. This is just O's getting dog money time and time again on the road this season. It seems like we keep getting that. I get it. Peralta, more or less one of the aces on that staff, one of the top 3 pitchers on that staff, can give you ace stuff any night, but can also go out there and then look like Madison Bumgarner earlier this season. So this is Orioles or nobody. I mean, just best road team in baseball getting dog money. Can't overthink it.
Yeah, they pushed this number up early this morning. and we jumped on this at plus 123. Right now it's back to, let's call it 114 pretty much everywhere. 123 was a no-brainer. Baltimore is a better road team than Milwaukee is at home. And right now, I got to give Gibson the pitching edge. Gibson last 3-0 with a 1.83 ERA. Peralta, as Ben said, a good game, a bad game, a good game, a bad game. But his last 4, 1-3 with a 7.32 ERA. Milwaukee's just not hitting. I mean, they're first at lefties, they don't hit at all. They just don't hit lefties. But again, they get blanked last night. They got to travel from Cincy. Orioles were off. Orioles went on the road. Orioles just getting no respect. Yeah, we took plus 123. This was actually my one straight bet. The Yankees, as I said, that's all a matter if Judge is in or out. That's what tipped the scales. But again, this is how crazy it is, guys. Yesterday, small card, 6 bets. Okay. Today, take out the Judge thing because we're only betting on we think Judge is out. We got 1 bet, and this is it. The White Sox. The Orioles.
Yeah, the Orioles. Next game, John, Cardinals at Texas. Rangers keep getting it done. Low with the walk-off yesterday. 10-2 their last 12. Hitting, 340 this week. Leading the MLB in hitting, scoring, you name it. Now second best, 20-8 at home. Catching up to Tampa Bay on that crazy pace they started with. Liberatore versus Dunning. Liberatore had a good start against Milwaukee. A horrible start against Cleveland. They kind of just been using him as a spot starter. And then at Dunning, he gave up 3 runs in 5 innings against Detroit. Prior to that, he was pretty lights out, 2-0, 1.594 starts. I mean, obviously, this is lineup edge to Texas, pitching edge to Dunning. There's no way I want any part of St. Louis on the road with Liberatore. They're scoring just 2.4 runs per game. This is lay the favorite or stay away from me.
Absolutely. We did it yesterday. Perez laying 130 over Wainwright. And I think today's pitching matchup is equivalent to that one. So right now you're looking at 135 for Texas. But St. Louis is in free fall. I mean, they're just absolutely in free fall, just not getting it done. Texas, best offense. They get the walk-off yesterday. Texas, so no one in this one. I make this higher. We'll wait to see lineups and where this line goes. But, yeah, Texas or nobody.
Then we have Cubs at Angels. Cubs coming off a loss at San Diego last night. They split the 4-game series. They were shut out twice, 2 of the last 3. And this Angels team, they prevent the sweep at Houston. They went 2-1 there on Sunday. They lost 3 or 4 there. They're 3-7 their last 10. And this is that time of year where Halos start to have their issues. We'll see if that continues. Wesneski on the mound for the Cubs. He was pitching a lot earlier this year. Gets recalled. Last outing came in relief. Gave up 1 run in 3 2/3 versus Tampa. And Anderson, White Sox tagged him 6 runs, 6 hits. He had a 5.19 in his 5 May starts. This is a tough game to get a read on here. Lean a little bit to the Cubbies. Not liking what I'm seeing from the Angels these last few weeks. And Anderson, he's been started off the year rough. He had a nice little stretch there and then kind of fell off the back end of May. Don't want any part of this Angels team as a favorite. Cubs aren't hitting. This is a weird game to get a read on. Cubs are no one for me, but I could see this as a coin flip.
Yeah, I'm going to call it a coin flip, but I'm going to lean a little bit towards the home team. Cubs, but let's see what's that average there. Cubs are $1.89 this week. They do it lefties better, hitting them at 273. They played last night. Angels were off. Anderson's been terrible, but Wesneski don't really see any reason to back him. This game started out at 141. All the money is on the Cubs. They've absolutely buried the Cubs. I wasn't as high as 141 it started, but not enough to get the Cubs. And now this game has gone lower than the line I made it. I was in the middle. I was like 125 on this game. So they've went from a lean to the Cubs to actually lean to the Angels in this one. We'll wait to see lineups. Line moves this big. Now, the Angels had off yesterday. Are they going to give Trout or Ohtani a day off after already having a day off? I don't think so. But only something like that could tell me why this line has moved so much on a Cub team that got blanked last night in San Diego, got to travel up to Anaheim to face the Angels. Not a pitching advantage as far as I can see. Cubs have not played good ball on the road. So we'll wait to see what the lineups and where that line moves to later. This is why you become a member of How to Beat the Bookie, because as we get the info, you guys get the info.
Yep,
and also, sorry, one more time, sorry about the Juan DeFranco info. We're still perfecting it, guys. So Juan DeFranco returned to the lineup. We use keywords so that we pull from Twitter any tweets that come out that who's not in the lineup. So when they put Juan DeFranco returned to the lineup, unfortunately, you got an early morning 7 a.m. Notification this morning. So, yeah, turn the notifications off, I guess, overnight. Still working on how to perfect that. But, yeah, sorry about the interruption, especially if you're in the middle of like a little morning something with the girlfriend or wife.
And then last game on the card, Seattle at San Diego. Gilbert, he was crushed his last time out by the Yankees. Granted, Yankees had his number. They crushed him twice last year. Prior to that, he had 2 quality starts, 4 runs in 14 innings. 2 starts versus the Padres last year, solid. 2 earned in 10 and a third. Musgrove, he's bounced back. 2 quality starts, 1 earned, 12 and a third, 9 Ks, 3 walks. So pitching has to give it slightly ever so to Musgrove and pitching a bit better. But Gilbert, I mean, take off that 1 start against the Yankees, and he was looking great. Mariners, though, I mean, just last 6 games, the pitching as a whole and the team getting absolutely smoked. Lost combined 50-16. They give a double-digit runs twice to the Yankees, twice to the Rangers. Granted, they get a blessing. They get this San Diego team hitting, 222 this year? So maybe that's the turnaround that this rotation needed. M's won 3 or 4 meetings last year. This is, to me, Mariners are nobody. Not going to be laying San Diego as a favorite anytime soon. Would be interested to see if Gilbert has that bounce back spot. 2 offenses struggling. Mariners are no one.
My number says that this is a little bit high, but it's a little high for a reason. Gilbert got crushed, as Ben said, and Musgrove seems to have turned it around. Maybe come back a little too early. Those first few starts were absolutely terrible. Last couple of starts, really nice. So, yeah, not jumping on Seattle, a team that's been absolutely smashed in this last week. 2 teams that haven't been hitting. It's going to be a pitcher's duel, I feel. 2 teams that just not getting the job done with the bats. Mariners hitting 210 this week, 26 batting 228 for the year. Same situation with San Diego. They're hitting 229 this week, hitting 222 for the year. We keep saying, waiting for them to turn around, We'll wait for this Padre lineup to start hitting the ball. Just not happening. But the Mariners, I believe the Mariners have 4 of the top 5 guys that strike out the most in Major League Baseball. That's a weak lineup. You got to move. Look, small ball, moving runners over, putting the ball in play, putting the pressure on the defense. This is part of baseball, not just hitting a home run or striking out every time up. So, yeah, the number's a little bit high, but no interest in a Mariner team that's falling like a knife right now.
Yeah, that coming into the season, thought with that. That rotation is still one of the top rotations in baseball, and they're still disappointing. So kind of interesting. And Rangers obviously just playing above all expectations. That's the baseball card, guys, for this Tuesday card. 15 games. Like John said, a little bit of action so far today. Could be adding with lineups, pitching changes, line movements, anything else. So if you haven't yet, go to howtobbeatthebookie.com or download the How to Beat the Bookie app in the App Store or Google Play. John, 3-3 Monday, so hitting their 500 on the week so far. Couple of big winning weeks, big winning May, and we got a lot to keep going for.
Yeah, like I said, it all depends on the day. Yesterday, 6 plays out of 8 games. Today, 1 real bet out of the 15-game MLB card. We'll see what happens with Judge in the game. Like the Orioles, never can tell what happens. There's a late scratch in a game. The line moves something, and we make a bet. For that, you got to become a member.
As always, guys, like, comment, subscribe. See the comments there. Oh, by the way, John, one comment I forgot to read to you today. Forget who said it on the YouTube post, but one guy said, "Fuck, I love John, but he's got to stop fucking up all these names." I just thought about that.
I don't make money pronouncing names or getting. Was never 100 student in English. No word police out there, please. You know who I'm talking about. If you don't, send me a message on Instagram.
Keep the comments coming, guys. Whatever you got, we appreciate it. It helps us grow. and let's make some money, John.
Make some money.